Can you hear me?
Yes. Am I good?
Yes. Yes,
Brilliant.
yes. Yes, very good. Very good. I was just watching the nightly update recap of the Karen Reed trial
Oh.
outside of Boston.
Mhm.
She's the one that's accused of running her boyfriend over. He was a Boston police officer, and they're like, no, this is a conspiracy cover up. The people in the house killed him and framed her.
Jeez.
And we had Aiden Turtle Boy on the show a couple weeks ago, I think. And the trial started on Monday. So I was watching the evening, giving the recap of everything that's been happening. So
Wow.
the testimony and things that are starting to come out and things. And it's just interesting. I can't be convinced either way yet at this point. Usually I'm like, no, absolutely, just based on the evidence that I've seen. But with this one, I knew that there was so much evidence that that hadn't been made public and stuff. So I was just ready. I'm like, okay, let it start coming out. Like,
Right. Oh,
so anyway, how are you doing?
I'm okay. A little tired today, but good. Yeah. It's been like a weird few days. I don't know if it's like full moon or something. Just
Is
had
it
a
like
lot of
post-eclipse energy? Something
maybe. I don't know. Just like weird interactions with people. I don't know.
Interesting.
I feel like there's something happening there somewhere.
Interesting. That's weird interactions with people. Okay. Can you describe or explain what you mean by that?
No, I mean, just people acting ways that like they wouldn't normally, I guess. Not like in a like crazy way, but just in a
you're
like
in a simulation?
I don't think I'm in the Matrix or anything, but like it's like people
but how
I know.
cool would that be?
It would be really cool.
Like learn you're in a different dimension. Like I would be jazzed to like, oh no shit, really?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, here's the blue pill and the red pill. No,
Right.
like I don't know how to explain it. It's just like there's been multiple situations where like people I know just like went and did something and I was like, "What are you doing?"
I wonder if there's like a message for you in that, like be careful of the decisions you're going to make, or like something like that, because like, I say decisions you're going to make because they're showing you people that are doing weird things and they don't want you to make mistakes. That doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't know. I'm just going with it though.
Maybe. It's just been interesting. I don't know. Like and like when I have conversations with people, they're like, "Of course I did that. Why wouldn't I do that?" And I'm like, "What?"
Hello.
Hey, Lexi.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm trying to interpret the energy around Becca, but I think I realized that my evening meds just kicked in, and so maybe we'll blame that. We'll blame the muscle relaxers. Anyway, hi Lexi.
Hello.
Hello.
Here comes the child. She knows, I'm telling you. Whenever I watch a show, she knows that we're going to record, so she does not want to go to sleep.
Oh, she wants to be part of the action.
Exactly.
Oh my God. Lexi texted me the notes and she said something about, I don't know if I saved Becca's number, but it's not Becca. It's Mecca.
I was using one hand to type.
MECCA, no, MECCA instead of Becca, so your Meccas.
Yes, please turn towards my direction and pray.
Yes. The Holy Land.
Wait, are you east or are you west? Wait a minute.
North.
Oh yeah, from you all, I'm north.
But isn't Mecca east?
Well, the actual Mecca is not north. That is true.
I mean, isn't that why they have the arrows in the hotels in the Middle East?
We need the Salahuddin family to answer these questions.
Truth. They were actually in this episode, though.
They
Oh my
were.
God.
And there was actually, it was kind of interesting because we had them interacting with an actual other polygamous family. And so we actually got to hear some real polygamy stories, like not just like, let's pretend we're going to date someone that we're never going to meet.
Do you think they really knew those people, or do you think production hooked them up?
They seemed to know each other. Like they seemed. She said they met on social media. So,
did
you
she?
know, they met, you know, they followed the hashtags and, you know, got down rabbit holes and you find the people, your people that way. Right. And then the algorithm gets you and suddenly you're surrounded by the types of people that Mark Zuckerberg wants you to be friends with.
Tis true. Should we start with the Salahuddin family then, since we're talking about them?
Yeah, why not?
And okay, so they're back in the kitchen cooking
every time. Why?
Exactly. I was like, oh my God, they make some.
What were
good
they
meals,
cooking this time?
I wasn't even paying attention.
I forgot.
She said like cucumber and zucchini or something.
Yeah. Like, okay. They ate weird, so whatever.
Nothing says like a bad date than, you know, eating cucumbers after it. I don't know. So
I always want to down a bowl of cucumbers right after a good date.
Right? Oh. Well, they're meeting their friends Mike and Shamir after their bad date or their wine date with that chick Alexis, who was very young, and it wasn't a good vibe. And then their friends
Not
are
that it's her fault, but her name is spelled Alexus.
Yes,
I think Alexis. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You're right. I should have said Alexis instead of Alexis. Yeah, and we find out that their friends are polygamous, and so they come over and they're having a little picnic, a little powwow outside. And then this is where I think the conversation starts to get interesting for once with this family, is because they do start talking about their experiences in polygamy, and we find out that Shamir is the third wife of Mike, which was very fascinating.
And they don't have any other, like the other wives have like left. So like
they've gone, peace out.
So like
both of them have, right?
Right. And so they're still looking because she's the third wife, but they're like monogamous now.
Right.
Trying to like live the plural life still, which I thought was interesting.
Which is like almost all of these couples are like, you know, we're polygamists because we believe in this stuff, but they're not practicing polygamy at that moment, are they? Because like none of them have a sister wife, right?
Yeah,
they're just monogamous couples at that point.
It sounds like the success rate of polygamy relationships is just as terrible as monogamous ones, if not worse. Honestly.
Well, you know, I mean, I don't know what kind of success you can expect when you have 3 very forced dates with someone and then you invite them over or sit them down at your table and say, so do you want to be exclusive with us?
It's so awkward.
It's so awkward.
Okay, great. Bye. That was a fun afternoon. Like, what? Like, don't these people understand like hanging out and developing chemistry and developing personal relationships with each other? But no. Anyway, I digress. I jumped ahead. I'm sorry.
It's all good. So yeah, then they get on the conversation about jealousy. And I was like, yeah, I'm not jealous. I don't get jealous. And then Shamir is like, well, you know, they haven't gotten to that level yet. So obviously she was talking about sex or like the intimacy, like the true intimacy of a marriage. Because they can't find anyone. They just, you know, people keep ghosting them or whatever. So they haven't even gotten to that point. I don't know. What did you guys think about this scene?
Becca has a quizzical look on her face.
Yeah, no, like the whole thing, I don't know. Like something just felt off about it. And I don't know if it was just because like it was clear they met on social media and didn't have like an in-person friendship.
That's what I thought. I was like, this is not real. I don't know. Or
like
just
maybe
wasn't,
they
like,
know each
close.
other. Like maybe they've talked on social media, but like
Yeah.
it seemed very clear to me that they had never talked in person, or like if they had, it wasn't like about deep stuff. And so it just felt very like, okay, let's go right into like all the deep stuff about polygamy. And like there was no foreplay, right?
Right.
Like it was
This is what I'm saying. There's no foreplay with any of these people. They just go straight into, you want to date us. And I'm like, whoa, like buy me some dinner and some breakfast first at least.
Yeah.
at least a coffee, hot beverage, something.
Go axe throwing. I don't know. But you know what I really thought was interesting was the motives behind some of the women that date married polygamous couples. Like, because I mean, Nyla was talking about, well, you don't know a woman's motive. Some will try to drive the first wife out, or some will try to steal the man from the wife. And I'm like, wait, so this is like an issue in like polygamy relationships like that are religious. I say that because it's like, okay, they're doing that right for their religion. Right. Is that what they
Right.
said? So it's like,
Like,
okay, so there's women driving people out of the I don't know.
But she doesn't have any jealousy though, right?
Right.
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 But remember how great they can make their man. There's two women are better than one. The face you just made, Mecca.
Gag me with a crowbar.
Yes, it's just wild to me. I still am convinced she's trying to get rid of her husband. She's trying to pawn him off on another
She's
wife.
off on someone else.
He just needs more love. He needs more love than I can give him. Somebody just take him. Anyone?
That was kind of the vibe I got from Jen. Was that her name? The Galileo wife, the first wife.
April.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like that's the vibe I got from her when she was talking to her brother. She was like, no, we want more. We want more. No, we need more.
It sounds like she was like,
no, I'm quite satisfied. I need more wives.
I'm pretty sure she's brainwashed. Nick, in his manipulative ways, probably spent 12 hours a day, like researching how to manipulate his wives into believing what they think. She's like a robot. She's like, I need more wives. Feed me more wives. I don't know. She's like manipulated, completely and utterly manipulated. Her stare looked like Garrick's, just staring in a blank space, like, I need more wives. Garrick's like, I need a baby with a Brazilian. I don't know. They just like are just completely out there. That's my opinion at 10:30 at night.
We're all turning into pumpkins.
I know. Sorry.
No. I go to bed at like 9 p.m. So
I know. Literally, my husband was like, it was like 9:05. He's like, I'm going upstairs. Have a great recording.
Have a great show. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm falling asleep here. Myself. So yeah, so I think, I mean, I liked this conversation with them because, like you said, like we got to hear some sort of like these interesting real world stories versus their fake date of person who ghosted them or whatever, or more of just sitting around talking to mother-in-law telling them that they're germy and it's nasty. Like that's the preview for next week. But
no, we had to hear them summarize that multiple times though.
Right. So it was nice to see a different scene from them. But I still don't care about any of them. So,
no.
Well, and clearly their plot doesn't go anywhere because like nothing's happening.
No,
they're gonna dragging it out as long as possible.
I don't care. I do like her hair. She has got phenomenal hair.
I was thinking about that. I was like, I think this is my favorite hairstyle that she did throughout the course of the show.
Hair, I will say that. And I'll say this, she's freaking gorgeous. And she's wearing this green shirt in one of her interviews. It was just a really good color on her. I think it was beautiful. Very well put together. That's the most interesting thing I can say about these people.
I will say that she probably has the most style out of anyone on the show. Like anytime she has an outfit on, I'm like, okay, that's an awesome outfit.
And she's like not going
You
anywhere,
mean
right?
Danielle
She's just sitting in her
Davis
kitchen.
and her and Dannielle Davis? Remember the shirt Danielle was wearing?
Yes. I mean, she has her own personal style for sure.
She does. You know what? And go girl, you rock it. Like, you
Like,
know what?
good for her.
You know what? Exactly.
I could never. Nip slip times.
Yeah,
Oh
no.
my God.
No.
She must use tape or something.
Maybe, I don't know.
She's
I mean,
praying.
she's only in her 20s. So hers are nice and perky still.
Yeah.
These
true.
50-year-olds.
Yeah, but sometimes no matter like how old you are, if you are well endowed on top, like they slip places.
Yes.
Like
Yes. Yes. That's just gravity. Especially if you've got the ones that are like really like heavy, like dense, really dense, you know, the kind that where they have to by law send you a thing after your mammogram saying you have dense breasts. Do you ever get that? No, you don't know. Look like, oh, you do get it. Okay. I'm like, do you know what I'm even talking about? Okay.
No, I 100%.
I
know
have
what
dense
that is.
breasts.
The
I
dense
Me
breast letter that
too.
you get by law after a mammogram.
No, I had to do like multiple mammograms after because they were like, we can't even see anything. So, and then they were like, oh, we found something. And then, of course, you're freaking out. And then you do it and they're like, oh, it's just like a cyst. You're like,
Yeah.
thanks
Oh
for
my
telling
God.
me, friends.
I was on the 6-month plan, every 6-month plan for like several years because there was, you know, some, I don't know, calcification. They wanted to keep an eye on it. Like the calcification in and of itself isn't bad, but it could be the result of something that is bad. So they wanted to keep an eye on it. And so I had to go through like the every 6-month really, you know, and then the whatever, the ultrasounds and all that stuff too. But then they sent me back to the normal plan. So
no, I'm still on the 6 month, every 6 months right now.
I'm sorry.
It sucks.
Yes. I'm sorry about that.
It's okay. Well, it's funny too, because I was like having this conversation with the tech because like when I did my first mammogram, everyone complains about mammograms, right? But like,
yeah, I mean, they're not the greatest.
They're not, yeah.
You're
but like
doing
the first
contortions, you've got people squeezing you.
Yeah. Like they're not comfortable for sure. But like I remember the first one I did, I was like, oh, that wasn't that bad. And maybe because I've just had a lot of like
I've
health
done
concerns and a lot of tests, right?
Womenly things.
But then when they did like the second round, it hurt so much because they were like, we gotta get this one section. And I was just like, oh my God.
Ouch.
Like they gotta get really, really back against your chest plate.
It was
got the huge knockers, like they can't get to it.
It was rough. But anyway.
Oh, that's what she said.
Mammograms.
Everybody should get mammograms. Go get checked.
Yes. Go get your boobies checked, everyone. Even if you have to do it every 6 months, it's better than the alternative.
Yes. Normal mammograms are uncomfortable, but they don't hurt. It's
correct.
No. See, I was actually surprised.
I mean, it's kind of like you're sitting like in these rooms and they give you these like whatever, like the half shirt gown things. And at least at the place I go, we're all these various women in various, you know, stages of it and stuff. And we're all doing the same thing. We're waiting to be called back for our ultrasound. We're all a little bit whatever, you know, but it's a little bit like our college days because we're like, hey, we get to flash everybody.
Oh my God.
No, just me. Just me.
I think it is just you. I think
it's just you.
Well, I just made this awkward. Okay.
I mean,
love it.
Your college days sound a little wild.
Yours were way more
I
wild than
understand
mine.
that they were very wild. If I could remember a lot of it, that would be great. But based on what I remember, yeah, wild would be a word. Thank God it was pre
social media.
Social media, yeah.
You'd have been on the TikTok.
We didn't have recordable media at our fingertips.
On the X, the Twitter X, the tweeters.
No, I didn't have that back when I was in college.
I know. I'm saying you would have been.
I remember Facebook actually started being a thing when I was a senior in college. And it was only for certain colleges. Like it was only college students and it was only certain colleges.
I never even had I went to San Diego State. I never even had an sdsu.edu email address.
Wow.
That's how old I am.
Did you have Harry Potter fly an owl in and to drop off letters from your family?
Harry Potter hadn't been written yet.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. But was it a carrier pigeon? A carrier pigeon?
Oh my gosh.
You sound like my husband. His favorite thing to do is to make fun of my age because I'm like 3 years older than he is.
I didn't even realize you were 3 years older than him.
Mhm.
I'm sure he lets that be known a lot.
Oh, yes. Talks about, when you were going, did you have to use the stone and chisel too? Just like, yeah, it never ends. Never ends with that one. So,
So does he, but you both look like your age-ish, right? Like, it's not like people think that like you robbed the cradle or something.
No. I mean, yeah, I think we look.
You look similar in age.
We look age appropriate.
Yeah, right. Meanwhile, my husband looks his age, right? He's 2 years older than I am, and I look like I'm 12. So like everyone like looks it up because he's a silver fox. He's got the gray silver highlights going on.
He does,
right?
doesn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, and I look like I'm
and then
young.
You've got the baby, so everyone thinks that he banged the nanny.
Totally. Like I look like I don't know what. Like it's
Becca
really
the
bad.
And
I'm like,
he banged the nanny.
And I'm like, I'm literally 2 years younger than him, I swear.
That's funny.
I'm starting a new rumor.
Oh my God. It's so bad. I do have some gray hairs, but just not enough to like make it look like I'm actually 40. So
that's good.
Well, I'm sure I will love it when I'm 60, but right now people still think I'm like in my 20s.
Well, you have the skin of like a 20-year-old. That's like past the adolescent acne, but before like the hormone, acne sets in. So it's that nice smooth where you like fall asleep in all of your makeup on like a curb with like a marble light hanging out of your lips, and like you wake up and you just like use a leaf to scrub your makeup off, and somehow your skin looks beautiful anyway.
What?
I don't know what just happened.
I don't know. I feel like I just passed out, woke up in a fever dream.
The Fraudcast will be right back. And now back to the Fraudcast.
What family do you want to discuss next?
Let's do your favorite. Let's do Shane and Ashley.
Okay.
Ashley.
Okay. Well, Sara decides to come visit their house after date 2 because why not?
I'm sure Sara decided that.
I'm sure it wasn't producer driven at all.
Right, exactly. And Shane is excited to talk to her because he wants to ask her the hard questions. And
his hard questions.
Right. Ashley says she wants to give their relationship a try and be exclusive with her. And what are her thoughts about that? First of all, this chick has been casually dating couples for years. Okay, so all of a sudden on like, meeting number 3, she wants to ask them to be exclusive. That doesn't make any sense.
None of this makes sense. Like, it make sense. None of that makes sense.
Then in like the awkward way, Sarah's like, well, yeah, I just like want to get to know you guys and go out a few more dates and go from there.
I don't know, hang out, develop, like, let's watch movies together. Let's have game night together. Let's like have some
Did you
drinks
say let's watch boobies together?
Movies.
Oh. I mean, that would make sense, right?
Right?
2 women dating.
They could all go to the strip club, sure. That would work too.
Well, then after she's like, yeah, like let's just like hang out. We know what Becca likes to do. Yeah.
Then we were just talking about mammograms. It's not my fault.
Okay. Fair.
Well, then Ashley's like sitting there and Ashley's like, here's my baby, by the way. Here you go, date 3. Let me just throw my toddler at you.
Right.
Because nothing says going slow like throwing a baby at someone.
Oh, and here my water's about to break.
Right.
I think my favorite was that the toddler had clearly just woken up. And if you've ever seen a toddler waking up, they're either super happy or super like groggy and unhappy. He was clearly not happy.
He was not having it.
Doing the arm. What?
Production was probably like, wake the baby up. You got to get the baby on camera. Ashley, give Sarah the baby, even though she didn't. But it was super awkward.
The whole thing
the whole scene was awkward.
was
And then
awkward. Come
Ashley
over and
gave
let me
her
force my baby on you.
right. Maybe they're just looking for a babysitter. That's probably what they're looking for. That was whatever. Anyways, Ashley,
They want to get this locked in before she pops out the next one so that they have the
listen,
childcare lined up.
childcare is expensive. Okay, there is a childcare crisis in this country.
Fair.
I mean,
fair.
maybe she is more intelligent than I give her credit for. Maybe that's what she's actually trying to do.
This is her diabolical plan the whole time.
Exactly.
she's
I
like-
will find a nanny.
She's building that village that we talked about, right? Like I was talking about how Midsummer is like obviously a horror movie, but also like my tired ass is like, I would love like a commune or a village to help raise my child.
Which I actually just saw that movie last week, and it was so good.
What did you think? It was so good.
It was good.
Terrifying, but so good.
Whatever the main actress, her name, she did a really good job. Really, like I believed her. Like
yeah,
thoroughly.
totally.
Anyways,
you still
good
haven't watched
movie.
it, right, Katrina?
I still have not watched it. And I'm looking forward to it. It's like one of those things like that I'm saving as a treat. I have to be in the right space for my brain to process it, right? And I'm not quite there yet. Like I'm getting my brain back. I've been able to work this week, which has been good. But I'm not quite there on my TV viewing yet.
Yeah.
I've had enough brain for the day doing my work, and then I'm like, okay, no, I'm done.
Whatever brain you have left too should be probably filled with positivity and not Midsummer.
Not Midsummer.
That's gonna fuck you up for a while.
I mean, well, I fell asleep to MSNBC Lockup, so like that's my comfort TVs.
Well, maybe you'll be fine with Midsummer then.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to watching Midsummer. I really am. So, yeah. So like when I can watch it uninterrupted and, have my treats and snackies and things like that. So
super
appropriate movie watching.
Yes.
Right now I'm doing Below Deck Australia.
That's like good mindless TV you don't have to pay attention to.
And then then I put on Court TV, Karen Reed stuff. Anyway, I digress.
So then Ashley kisses her goodbye, super awkward again. And
did you guys believe that kiss?
No.
And Shane was talking about jealousy and how he doesn't know how he should feel about it. Yada
the
yada.
pufferfish.
And scene. That was the most awkward and fake.
Well, and they both were like, oh, she actually wants to be exclusive. We're both very, very surprised. We didn't think it was going to go that way. And I'm like, what? I'm so confused by this conversation. I don't know.
Very, very confused.
Like middle school. It's like who's exclusive after 2 dates? No one. And if you are, you have
2 dates that have gone the way
issues.
Their dates have gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, then we see another scene where they're out to dinner with their friend Rachel. And Rachel and this guy Billy we'll talk about later are like the two sane people in this whole TV show.
Normal person, yeah.
Right. So Rachel seems to know them very well, and Ashley tells her about what happened, how she kissed her at the end, and how, she checks a lot of boxes on as her values in life and stuff. I'm like, she's been dating married couples with no sense of commitment, but okay, values.
She's been boning them. That's all she's been doing.
Right. I'm like, whatever, to each his own, but okay, if that's what your values on life are and they're the same.
Right.
And then I love it when Rachel was like, well, is this the right time with everything going on, like with your cancer scare and your screening and I don't know, a baby about to come? Like, is this really the right time?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that's when Shane was like really getting upset, it looks like, and emotional, because of his cancer. And Trashley just sat there looking like a blank stare in her face, like no emotion. Like,
and he's talking about, well, we're getting her the wife so that I could, because I might broke. And she's just like, oh, I kissed her. It was so great.
Exactly. That was the thing. I was like, she has showed more emotion in talking about the kiss and her reaction to that than she did with her husband talking about his cancer scare. I don't know.
Yep.
What do you think, Becca?
Yeah, I have a hard time reading her. Like sometimes like she did cry last time when they first talked about the health concerns at length, right? And like that was the first time I really saw her like have some emotion about stuff. So I wonder if she just like stuffs down her emotion because she has to deal with listening to people's stuff all day and she's not able to shut it off for when she's with like when she's not working. I don't know.
That's fair. That's fair. That's a very generous, positive interpretation, reading for her. I can appreciate that. Yeah.
Because I can get that a little bit, right? Like with helping professions, right? Like when you're listening to people's stuff all day, like I could see how you have to like shut it off. And sometimes it's hard to not do that when you're in your personal life.
Yeah. Yeah.
With that said, it is weird to watch her be like blank when they're talking about like very emotional things.
I might not be here. And she's just like,
well, the kiss was really good.
All right. Anyway, so what's next? What? Right. The discussion of the puffer fish was amusing to me because the parallels to Shane. Who does the puffer fish get jealous? Well, not really, but see, actually, he will actually them. He's like, well, actually, when it's like this, he is showing jealousy.
That's clearly why they kept that in. Because why else would they have kept that in?
Right, exactly. Shane is the puffer fish.
Oh, this episode. Okay, where do you want to go next? Do you want to do the Davis family? Because it's like hardly anything.
Yeah, sure.
So April, who is wife number 1, is having some time with her younger brother, Billy. They are going out having a couple drinks. And Billy does not really approve of her lifestyle. But of course, he's her brother. So he's going to be there for her. But he's asking
but he's not going to coddle her ass either.
No, but he's going to ask the questions that everyone's thinking and nobody wants to actually say to her or ask her. So one of the things he mentions or asks, he's like, why would they ask somebody else into the relationship like so quickly? Like they're just like hustling people in, these women in. And that he does bring up a good point. Like, what's the hurry? What's the rush? Because that Dannielle, how long did Dannielle date the family before she joined? I don't think it was very long.
The length of a season.
Right. Right. Exactly. And he said that Nick is just kind of like using them basically, that they're getting played and he's getting the best of both worlds while he stays at home and does nothing. So of course, April starts defending Nick, saying, well, no, he's a stay-at-home dad and like social norms are that the women tend to stay home and the men work, but like
fair, but that's not why they're doing it or anything.
Exactly. And he was like, well, what did he do before Vera was born? All the time.
That is my point, right?
Exactly. She's Googling Galileo and planetary alignments. I don't know.
But she's very satisfied. April's very satisfied, apparently. She said.
Yeah.
It's just like the way she was answering his questions to me. It just seemed like she was so
drinking the Kool-Aid,
like so in denial or just so in like another world. It's like trying to talk somebody out of like a cult. Like they're just in denial. They don't understand. They can't see another perspective or see the reality for what it is. So she's just like completely manipulated.
Becca, I'd be interested to know what your thoughts on that are, given your educational research background.
Yeah. So I think
like,
it might have been
cult survivor from her or no?
Well, so I get high control group from her because it's very clear that this group has a very specific way of being and it's their main community.
Nick and the three wives.
Yeah. Okay. And like it's very clear that they don't really interact with a lot of people outside of that. Like this is one of the first or only times we've seen one of them talking to someone else. And that's not to say they don't have people, but like it's clearly not important enough to like film or keep in the edit.
Right.
Right.
And so like for me, like there's just very specific ways of being for them. Like we have the big bed, like that's where we all sleep. But then there's like a separate room for intimacy. And like, so there's clearly a lot of rules around how they live together. And I think like, and that's their main community. So like clearly that's who she's going to go to bat for, because like,
right.
if she doesn't, like, and she loses that, like who else does she have?
Right.
Except her brother, apparently, kind of.
I definitely got some kind of weird vibes when she was like, the way she was defending him, that was like her affect was very flat, kind of in the way that she was saying it. And that's what got me. It was the affect of how she was defending it. Like it was so rote memorization. This is what we do. We work and he stays home with the baby and it's against social norm. Like it just sounded very Stepford wifey.
Right. Like if my brother came at me with being upset at the guy that I was dating. First of all, I don't talk to my brother really, but like if he did, and I got to
your brother's opinion about people you date would be negligible at best at this point.
Right. But I will say, like, I would get very passionate or at least defensive, and I feel like she didn't do that. You said she was just very flat and just very like memorized everything she needed to say.
It's like it just reminded me very much of like all of the interviews and stuff you see with like the Warren Jeffs, the FLDS people, you know, and they have this very sort of not ordinary affect in the way that they talk, because and I'm sure that there's a reason behind that, but like,
well, I mean, I would guess because it's so ingrained that like that's just how you function, right? Like it's not
keep sweet, right? Like
like it was become second nature. So when they are talking about it, like they're not going to get like emotional about it because like it's so ingrained in them, like it's their being.
Yeah, it is very that it was just the way that she said it that was very maybe they're not as free-willed, and like does seem very more like it's behind closed doors, so it's a lot more robotic and weird.
What's that movie Stepford Wives where there's like the battery packed or whatever, the women like robots
basically
with Nicole Kidman, and you just pull out a battery. It's like, whoa.
The original Stepford Wives is much better.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. It's sad because the remake like had such an amazing cast and it was just kind of not good. But the original Stepford Wife is much freakier. Like, you know, the ending now, so it's probably not as freaky, but like when it first came out, like everyone lost their minds at the end.
I love it. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, it's good. Okay. I mean, it's dated now, but it's good.
Good to know.
That was basically it.
I think that's it on them.
Yeah.
And now to our favorite family.
Trashly. No,
Merryfields.
Terryfield. The terrible.
The terrified family.
Terrified.
It's Garlic and Terrified.
Garlic and Terrified.
Garlic.
Oh, man.
Did you guys see that reel of the kid that keeps asking for garlic?
No.
Oh my gosh. I watched it like 100 times because it's so funny. There's like a toddler who just keeps going, garlic? Garlic?
Did you send me that?
Yeah, I think so. And the mom is like, she has like the bottle that has like the chopped garlic already you can like,
just give him a scoop of it.
Yeah. And he just keeps asking for it. And she's like, this is what you want? And she's like, okay. And she puts it in the bowl.
Gives him a scoopful and he's like,
and he like shoves it in his mouth and he goes, yummy, like it, more. And my favorite comment on it, because like I've watched it so many times, is like, he says like garlic like 15 times. And someone in the comments wrote, did he effing stutter?
Give it to him, Mom.
Because the mom was like, are you sure? Are you sure you want that? Did he effing stutter? Anyway,
Mom, he knows what he wants.
Oh, man. Hey, at least it's something good, but,
I mean, I like garlic, but wow.
Yeah. I made shrimp tonight, so garlic and the shrimpies.
Garlic?
Garlic.
Mm.
So what
Anyway,
did garlic do that
Yeah,
was
so
very ick this
we see
episode?
Dannielle rolling into Rio. We're like, of course she goes to Rio.
yeah, I love how they
Since
made it such a big deal before. Like, is she gonna go? Is she not gonna go? And of course, the first
course
thing they
she was
show is
gonna
like
go.
her rolling into Rio.
Yep. Yep. And she was not gonna not go since Garrick was there for 6 weeks. So she's in the cab and she's so nervous to see her husband. She wants to look perfect for him, putting on her makeup. And she said she feels like she's the other woman. And then, do you
Well,
guys
you
see how she
kind
had
of are, because you haven't talked to your husband in at least 6 weeks, barely, and he's been shacked up with this Brazilian 22-year-old
I think she's 25, but yeah,
or
here nor
whatever.
there. And then she has to carry up her own bags into the apartment.
He doesn't
Yeah.
even meet her at the airport or nothing.
Nobody's helping her.
No, and she's newly pregnant.
I
What is
know.
happening?
Pregnant, arriving in Rio. She has to get there by herself because he's working from bed.
Yeah.
He's
Must be
working in
nice.
bed. Now, look, I work from bed sometimes because I'm fucking disabled. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Garrick's disabled in a different way because, I mean,
That's potentially true. Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. Well, Natalia gives her this big hug at the door, and I'm like, that's fake. She just doesn't look
Did
like
you
she
see that
means it.
Natalia's hug was bigger and better and more quote unquote authentic and real than Garrick's hug?
Oh, I didn't notice.
Garrick's hug was like the way you hug like your 80-year-old aunt.
Oh.
It was
Like
not good.
you put your arms around them, but you're
Yeah.
like trying not to get too close because you might smell their weird old person smell
Mm.
of like menthol and like mothballs.
Garlic?
So he was like barely like giving her a hug. Yeah.
Oh,
And
interesting.
he had that weird like injured
creepy serial killer look on his face.
injured deer look on his face. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're talking about the baby, and he says he's excited to have the baby.
I'm
And
excited to have the baby because
right.
babies are a blessing from God.
Yeah. And then it's brought up again about Dannielle's insecurities around Natalia not really communicating to her. And Garrick throws it back on them like, well, you guys have to work it out basically. And she's just insecure and jealous of what we have. Motherfucker, you've been married for 14, 16 years. Defend your wife and step in like a man and handle that shit, because he's just like, he's creating the drama. He's bringing a new wife in and then stepping back and being like, not my problem.
Yep.
Like, what?
Well, and
What?
also remind me, because he was like, oh, I'm going down to Brazil for a month. And then it became 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like, but Danielle's the one who's insecure.
Right.
Mm.
No, he was
Everything's
saying
always
that
Danielle's fault.
no, he was
Dannielle has
saying
to
that
learn.
Natalia was insecure about the relationship that him and her have.
Gotcha. I thought you
Dannielle
meant
and him
Danielle.
have.
Got
Did
it.
you see when they were showing Dannielle the house that Natalia put Dannielle in the same room with Garrick?
Yeah. She's like, yeah, you Garrick, whatever.
Because she's like, give me a break. Come on now.
Yeah.
I'm just in it for the green card, and now I can't get a green card. So
Yeah, that's
what am I
true.
doing?
The Fraudcast will be right back.
Hey, Fraudcasters. Everyone knows that finding the perfect t-shirt can be such a challenge. I know I've always had problems with it, whether it was the fit or the quality. Luckily, the perfect t-shirt does exist, and you can find it at Skims, the maker of my perfect t-shirt bra. Now I have the perfect t-shirt to go with that bra. From either crop silhouettes to long sleeve layering tees, there's a style for everyone. My cotton jersey t-shirt is now a wardrobe staple for me. I reach for it almost every day, and the fit is so perfect because it snatches me right in at the waist. I've washed it a million times, and it's held its shape really well. It fits like a dream. I absolutely love it. And honestly, you guys, I thought like, okay, this shirt is going to be too small for me, and it's not going to fit right, and all the bulges are going to show. but it doesn't at all. I put it on and it magically stretches to fit me perfectly, and it holds all those bulges in. Every little last bulge that I have is all held in, and it looks fantastic. I absolutely love it, and it is super super comfortable, and it is one of my new favorite t-shirts. You can shop the Skims t-shirt collection at skims.com, now available in sizes extra extra small up to 4X. And if you haven't yet, be sure to let them know that we sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop down menu.
And now back to the fraudcast.
Well, Danielle's talking about the wedding planning, and Garrick said they went to the office 4 times to, I guess, file for the visa and get married, try to get a judge or whoever to marry them. I'm guessing they did some sort of like research on him. They probably just used Google and found out that he's a fucking
They're like,
creeper.
oh, this dude's on a TV show.
Yeah. That's
And
what
he's
the guy said.
American?
Like, he looked me up and found out that I'm, polygamy. I'm in this lifestyle or whatever.
The judge probably found like reels of him on like TikTok, like looking stupid. Like, nope, he's not marrying our Brazilian.
Wait, how many other girls did he's trying to get a K1 on? No. Mm-mm.
Right. Roberta?
But yet he didn't look up any laws. Like, he's like, I don't even
Yeah.
know what the laws are around like polygamy or like stuff here in Brazil. I'm like, wouldn't you look that up if you're trying to marry someone there? Like, I don't.
Yeah. But he's not married currently.
Yeah, he's
to
not legally
Danielle.
married. That's,
So
so
I guess they can
theoretically
just
that shouldn't interfere, but Garrick doesn't know anything because he hasn't apparently researched what the laws are to get married in Brazil.
I'm guessing they can just deny a marriage because they can. Like in the US, if there's no reason for legal reason, right? Like if they're a citizen or if they're have all the right paperwork.
No, I mean, you have to go get a marriage license. I mean, there
Right,
are
but like what would be the
can't
reason
marry
for
your
being
cousin.
denied?
You have
yes,
to
but I'm
swear
saying
to
like
test that you're not marrying your cousin.
right, but I'm saying like you're not gonna deny somebody just because you Googled them and found out that they had whatever, right? If they're not legally married to somebody else. They're not.
But I mean, I don't know what the laws are about getting married in Brazil, and I would guess that Garrick's recitation of them are probably not entirely accurate, but
Right.
also even if they did, I mean, whatever their laws are, he should know what they
Exactly.
are, right?
Exactly.
And how to get around him, and what should have known what he was doing and how to lawyer to, do all the immigration stuff. And
He did have a lawyer, and the lawyer told him to go to Brazil. It'd be quicker. Remember, he's like, "Oh, I have my attorney told me to go to Brazil."
Sure.
I don't remember that part.
No, I mean, I'm sure his attorney told him that. No,
Oh.
I mean, his attorney probably said, well, yeah, it would be probably quicker if you did this, but didn't say you should go do this.
Right.
People always interpret like, oh, they told me to do this. No, they didn't. They just said this or this, and you made the decision. That's not the same as them telling you. So, facts. Anyway, so.
Well,
So then, you keep
go ahead.
going, Lexi, because you're probably going to talk about the stuff I want to talk about anyway.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sure we're about to get to that. Yes. So we're talking about wedding planning, yada yada. Okay. Then this is the part we all want to discuss. Natalia asked Dannielle how she's feeling about everything, about the baby. Well, we don't really know what she's trying to ask her because she's not really speaking English. Like it's a weird broken conversation. But Dannielle says, yes, surprise, surprise. And Natalia says, no surprise. And she asked if they've had unprotected sex during fertile days. And she said, yes, they're married. So for 14, she said, no condom, 14 years, baby. And Natalia said, no surprise. And Dannielle's like, it feels like she's angry at me for being pregnant and that I purposely did it. And this is where the internet's up in arms, I feel like, because I'm seeing like all kinds of different reactions from this scene and from this overall news. What do you guys have to say?
What have been the reactions? Are they all over the place? Like,
Oh,
she
yeah, no,
tried
they're all
to.
like blaming Dannielle for getting pregnant, which I completely
Oof.
wholeheartedly disagree with.
Oof,
Yeah.
that's
And
messed
maybe
up.
it's my own triggering because like people blame me for getting pregnant on birth control. But like I'm like, these people are religious. They're probably not even using birth control. Let's
Right.
be honest.
Oh, 100%.
No,
Right.
number one. And number two, the only thing I can think of is she did get a little jealous and maybe she had more sex with Garrick because she wanted that closeness. You know, maybe she wanted more intimacy to try to get closer to him. And then,
Yeah.
well, here we are. But
maybe she did feel like she was, I mean, it would be certainly plausible that she would offer herself up more sexually to him in an effort to redirect his attention back to her.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the thing is too, like, okay, well, she didn't get pregnant while he was dating Roberta. Okay, so
Right.
she didn't get pregnant. I mean, there's like a whole history of things. Like, I think the timing was actually like you kind of joked about it, Katrina. Like,
Mhm.
God's like trying to tell you not to get married to this chick. Like, not only is it denied, but now your wife's pregnant, like, or whatever. I don't know. The situations was just like very interesting to me. But all these women are like, she did it on purpose. I'm like, first of all, it takes two to have sex. I hate that. I fucking hate that when somebody's like,
Yeah.
the women this, like, unless she poked holes in a condom or lied about taking birth control. Like, no, it takes two people to fuck. Okay. Period.
No, totally.
Period.
And it's just perpetuating that like myth of women and like all we want to do is like trap dudes and get pregnant and like all this stuff. And it's
Right.
like,
Right.
no.
And all men don't want to be tied down and they just want to go
Totally
have sex everywhere.
when in reality, like sometimes when sex happens, babies happen. Like,
right.
Yeah.
that's what it's made for.
And any number of reasons could have, for them not getting pregnant before and getting pregnant now. I made a
Right.
joke about how like I don't really think that this is Dannielle because I don't think she's that smart, but that she was like using birth control, not telling Garrick, but like secretly using birth control before all these years so that she wouldn't get trapped with another kid with that guy. But then with this stuff with Nathalia coming in and getting all jealous and all this stuff. So she did all the like the extra sexy stuff and the sexy lingerie and the butthole extender and whatever, all the things. And as a result, not of the butthole sex, because that's not how that works, but the other things, she wound up knocked up because she stopped using the secret birth control. And
well, she obviously
did it all
wasn't doing
with
that.
the intent to,
Yeah.
Well,
she obviously wasn't like the most recent Mormon purity culture thing where they have sex but don't. She clearly wasn't doing that. Soaking.
We talked about soaking before. And then I think I made Lexi look it up.
Oh gosh.
No, see, if I die tomorrow, man, my Google history is all fucked. Thank you guys. I need somebody to just take my phone.
That's what I'm here for. No, that's what I'm here for.
Looking up. I'm like, it was for the podcast. It's called research, okay? It's all for the podcast.
So a little background on this. Becca, the pastor, sent us on our group chat, sent us a TikTok of somebody talking to Mormons about soaking. And for those of you who don't know what soaking is,
don't Google it.
Oh, I'll tell you.
Or Google it. I don't know.
When the man puts his thingy inside the woman's vagina hole, but they don't actually move because something about the scripture or something, it's like the movement is what's prohibited. So if they're just laying there, they're not doing anything against God. But then they also get the shakers, is what they call them, and they pay these people. People charge for their services. They jump on the bed so that the people move so that they can have sex, so that there's friction.
Right.
And apparently they charge for this service.
So my
and this
question
was the
is,
TikTok that Pastor Becca sent us this week.
Okay, so to be fair, it's interesting to me to find like what religious people in different religious traditions use as loopholes for purity culture, right? Because it's all about purity culture. It's all about like you shouldn't have sex before marriage. So they're like,
Right.
oh well, according to our scriptures, like moving during sex is actual sex. So if we just like put it in there and don't move, it's fine. And someone else moves it for us, like it's fine.
So what happens if you get pregnant off of soaking? Are you like carrying the next baby Jesus because it's like an immaculate conception because you didn't actually have sex?
I don't know. I
Like
have
these
so
are
many
questions that I'm gonna
But-
be up all night tonight.
That's
Thanks,
a
guys.
theological question for you.
Yeah, I don't honestly know, but I have also a lot of questions about like it's not okay to like move for sex, but it's okay to have someone watch you put it in and shake the bed, right? Like I just have a lot of questions about all of it.
I bet you there is a category of porn like soaking cat. Now I'm gonna look.
Okay.
I got I'm not gonna really look, but I'm kind of like, is this
You've
like
got like Lutheran porn and like Methodist basement drinking dungeons.
Oh my God. We have ran the gamut with different like religious traditional
So
things.
here's my question: how do I pimp out my services to be a
As
shaker?
a shaker.
Because if they could get $50 for the like, I've you know, I could shake that bed in a way that you know. Your mama's gonna be like, you screaming like you don't know Jesus.
I mean, like, go
Oh,
hang out at BYU. I'm sure people will hire you.
shake and bake. You just need a sign that says shake and bake and then like stand outside of the doors.
Oh
Oh my God. I wonder if that's a thing. Look at that up in your research, Lexi.
Oh
my
my
God. Okay,
God.
so you need to report back, Lexi.
I'll do my best, guys.
She's gonna fall asleep in like 30 seconds after we close this podcast.
100%.
Anyway, let's finish off the this very
Before I fall asleep.
the terrifieds.
The
Okay.
terrified family.
So let's see, where are we? Yeah, weird conversation about baby pregnancy blaming.
Pregnancy blaming.
Yeah. Okay, so then we find out the judge did deny their marriage, and Garrick was crying about it because he was so just devastated.
Oh, those tears were so real.
And Natalia said she's just really sad about everything. She needs to go lay down, aka mourn the loss of
She's
her
like,
green card.
fuck. Time to get back on the apps.
Exactly. And then Dannielle and Garrick go for a walk together and, you know, be sad together. That's basically.
And then they this is weird, and I want Becca's commentary on this because this is
why did God allow this?
did God allow
Yeah.
this? Blaming God? No, God did this. This is God's fault or God's plan, and this and that and the other thing. All of the God's plan stuff is all yours, Becca.
Yeah. So this made me frustrated, right? So there's a stream of Christianity that basically imagines God to be a micromanager, basically. And so like, oh, well, if this happened, it must have been God. And it's like, no, like God isn't like doing everything in your life at all times. Like clearly, like sometimes crap just happens. Like, okay, like you didn't get approved for the marriage. That might not be God. That might just be like it didn't get approved for marriage. And
or
so
it
then,
could be the 18th sign in a row from God saying, don't do this, you motherfucking
Right.
idiot.
also possible.
Yeah.
But like, but I feel like things get ascribed to God that isn't always God, right? And so they're going on, if they're in the micromanager mode, they're like, okay, well, obviously if this happened, like God was in it. And so that just means like we have to figure out why God did this. And that's like where you get weird, right? Because they're like, oh, maybe this just like, because Dannielle's like, well, maybe this just means God wanted us to slow down and we'll do the K1 visa instead.
Because
And
we need
then-
more time. She's like, thank
Right.
fucking God.
So that's her interpretation. But then meanwhile, Garrett's like, okay, like God's like punishing us or testing us. And like, that's where it gets wacky.
Right.
Because then it's like, okay, well, if you think God's a micromanager and everything bad that happens to you is God, like that gets real messy and awful because then you think you did something wrong for why things are happening to you. And then we take that to the extreme where people are like, oh, your baby died, that means you didn't have enough faith, right?
Right.
Like,
Oh.
Or you
so
have cancer, you should have prayed harder, been a better
exactly.
Christian or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Terrible.
like at first it doesn't sound too bad. And then you start thinking about when you take that thinking to the natural conclusion, what that does.
Yeah, that wasn't pretty. Does that give us any more indication as to like where they're from, like their origin story?
No, I mean it suggests they're probably Calvinist, which means probably some sort of evangelical Protestant, but I still think they have some Pentecostal background. So past that, I don't really know, but it does mean that they're like super Calvinist, which is interesting to me.
What does it mean? Like, what is the general meaning of Calvinist? I saw that's the second time today that I've seen that term.
Really interesting.
Well, okay, so I have this friend on Facebook that I met through like a sobriety group years and years ago. And so we had both whatever. Anyway, I only keep her as a friend now because she's so crazy. She's literally a flat earther. And like her post today was like about like pictures of her kid dancing all over like this playground, and she's like, "Oh, my kid's going to be fit for the end times." And she's always talking about this kind of stuff, and she was talking about how she like something, but one of her posts was my journey through da, 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 and one of them was Calvin to whatever she is now, which is batshit crazy. And anyway, second time today I've heard the term Calvinist. So what does that even mean with like a
so
layperson?
So basically it just comes out of John Calvin's teachings. And like John Calvin's teachings were pretty chill. And then as always, it's the followers that take it and run with it and make it more extreme. And so I would say like in the 90s and early 2000s, there was like this big boom of like super Calvinist stuff where like the whole you're reading this, there's a reason you have this book in your hand, and like God is micromanaging stuff, and like it became very much like God has like a heavy hand in your life and is like doing all these things, and like the secular version of it would be like everything happens for a reason, which makes me want to gag. But like it was
Yeah.
like it was like the theological version of that basically.
Okay, so super God heavy, that God does all.
Right. Like, and so for
thinking.
me, like God is good all the time. So like obviously the bad stuff isn't coming from God. And we've talked about this, right? Like this is the question of theodicy, which is just a fancy way of saying like why do bad things happen?
Right.
And so like, you know, the consensus is pretty much like, okay, well, like people suck and our world sucks. And so like 98% of why bad things happen is because people suck. And then like
Right.
the other
And they interpret
2%,
because
right.
Garrick interprets
Right.
shit like this.
Because that's how they think about God and spirituality and theology.
Right.
Whereas like 98% of it is just like we live in a broken world. The 2% is stuff we don't know, right? Like cancer or natural disasters or whatever. But like, yeah. It really bothers me when people assume God is causing everything, because then if you take that to its natural conclusion, then that means like God is punishing you because you did something wrong.
Yeah.
When
and
bad
I don't
things
like
happen.
my God, my higher power is not like that. But
right. Yeah. Like God is loving, and like if God is loving and loves us unconditionally, then like God isn't going to be punishing. Like you can't hold both those things together.
right. She does laugh at me, but she laughs at me because she's like, "You're stupid." Well, I mean, she doesn't say you're stupid. She's in her Bernadette Peters era right now. So imagine Bernadette Peters laughing at me when something happens, and I'm like, "Oh my God!" And she's, I told you, you didn't listen. You gonna listen this next time? That kind of thing. Because but she loves me, so it's fine.
Right. Yeah, and like people in more conservative Christian circles would say, well, like they would totally disagree with what I just said about like
Okay.
God being loving and conditional, and can't then can't be punishing at the same time. They would say,
Oh.
well, no, but God punishes us because God loves us. Like you punish as like a parent, a loving parent.
Oh, are those
And
the people that beat their kids because
yeah.
that's what God wants?
Or like they are not the gentle parenting type.
Yeah,
Let's say that,
makes
right?
sense.
Like they're
Yeah.
the ones that are like, why are you crying? Stop crying.
Yeah.
Mm.
Some of the really horrifying things that we've heard about.
Right. But anyway, but then you could get into this whole conversation about like how is your theology affecting parenting, which is a whole other conversation. Like how are you thinking of God's parenting style and your own?
Interesting.
My parenting style is called survival.
Fair.
No, yeah.
I
It's a good
totally
one.
get that.
That's a good one. That's a good one. I like
Today
to, I
I
like
had
to
a
think, oh, go ahead.
no, I was just thinking about how like I cried today because I spent like $9 on blackberries and Kaya spilled them everywhere. And I like
Oh
silently
no.
cried. Like I was like, she's like, I'm sorry, mommy. I'm like, it's okay. Everything's okay.
Bye.
And meanwhile, I'm like, "God, damn, blackberries are $8,
Oh my
$9.
I wish someone warned me how much we would have to pay for berries for our child.
Dude, it's
Like it
Yeah.
is
kids
real.
love berries.
It's real.
It is, yeah, it is pretty bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I go through a lot of fruit. We go through a lot of fruit in this house too.
Mhm.
So yeah.
So many berries.
Yep.
So many berries. Yeah.
So many berries.
But
So many
anyway,
berries.
point
Anyway.
being,
Point being.
they clearly are in the like mindset of like, if something happened to me, God must have caused it. And now I have to figure out like why God would do that. When in reality, God probably didn't do it. Or if God did it, it wasn't the interpretation they
Right.
got, right?
I like to think, I guess, I mean, like it could be if God did that and God doesn't do bad things. So why am I viewing this as bad? Maybe, I don't know.
Could be.
Maybe it's
Well, but
not a
they don't
bad,
think like that, right?
it's like the Garth Brooks unanswered prayers, right?
Mhm.
Thank God for unanswered prayers.
Mhm.
You wanted them, but then it turns out God had something better planned for you.
I like the saying, rejection is redirection. And the rejection meaning like anything. In this case, rejection of the visa and just of all the scenarios going on. It's like, well, time to redirect. Where do we go next? How are we navigating this? It's
Right.
like sometimes things kind of,
Yep.
one thing doesn't work and then you just boom, figure it out. Things are better on the other side.
Yeah.
I don't trust this
Absolutely.
Natalia chick though.
Look at us getting all philosophical.
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 We need Nick to join our podcast and then he can really tell us all kinds of philosophy.
Yes. Please
Right.
get Galileo here.
Yeah.
I bet you he's a flat earther.
Do you think?
You think?
No, not at all, actually. But
Okay.
I could.
Well, he talked about rotating, so he actually clearly believes in the spherical
Oh, that's true. Right.
element.
He can't be a flat earther if he was talking about the rotation of the different planets.
But yeah, anyway. Anyway. So the Merrifields, the Terryfield, the
terrified garlic family.
terrified of garlic. So what now? What are they doing now? Like, are they all gonna like? She's just gonna be like, peace out, and like Natalia just stays in Brazil, and they fuck off to Colorado and go have their baby and go find this girl from Michigan.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's what happens because that's sort of what we saw in the previews.
Right?
And then I saw I saw a Reddit thread a while back of Natalia saying this is really Natalia, and then I guess the moderators approved it, so I guess it really was her. But she started like saying everything's okay. I'm just living my life, and and all the typical bullshit answers, without just ruining the show. And I'm like, you are on Reddit speaking or writing. You're taking the time to write in English and really like put yourself out there.
Way more English than they let on, or she lets on.
I agree.
Because she's sitting there having this conversation. Meanwhile, Dannielle switches to her baby voice, but she's still speaking English, but she switches to the baby voice that she uses when she's talking to the translator, as if somehow her speaking English in a baby voice will make her understand.
Yeah, I don't know. Some people, when they try to speak another language too, they get like louder. I'm like,
They do.
volume isn't going to change the fact that you're speaking.
That makes me laugh so hard whenever I see Americans do that in other countries, because I'm like, that's not doing what you think it's doing.
Not
Donde
helping.
está el baño? Okay, calm down. Calm down. You don't have to yell. The bathroom's over there. Calm down.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's my commentary on Dannielle this week.
I didn't mean to blow your eardrums out by yelling. I'm sorry, ladies.
It's all good.
It's all good.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, next week, the only thing that looks somewhat exciting is that we see a new chick being interviewed by the Nick's family, the Davis family.
Davis's, yeah.
Yeah. And she
That's the one
seems to
that they
be-
showed in the hot tub before. So I'm glad they showed something other than her just going in the hot tub and being like, I'm going to recreate this family.
Right.
Oh, right. But
She's
see,
like,
you know
"I
what? Didn't
wanna-"
they have a hot tub scene with Dannielle? With Dannielle was dating them? Didn't they have a hot tub scene?
I don't remember.
I feel like they did. I feel like they
did. Pretty
Nick
I'm
must
pretty
really
sure
like
that-
the hot tub.
It's where he really gets.
It's his
gets-
formula for dating.
Yeah, for dating, clearly. Like, he's watched The Bachelor too much.
How like insecure do you have to be to fill your ego up with like women in a hot tub? Like I could just see him sitting there like, I'm the man. Look at me in my hot tub with my women.
Look at all these planets revolving around me.
Right.
Right.
And
First of all, motherfucker.
yep.
So,
I do. It does make one wonder, right? Like, what? Like, I would love to see a psych evaluation on him.
Yeah.
Like, I'm guessing he would, even if he isn't technically a narcissist, he would score pretty high there.
I feel like he would too. And I feel like he would think he was too smart for the exam. So he would try to outsmart the exam. But then
But they have scales in them to figure out if you're trying to outsmart
Exactly.
it.
right. Like they're designed for that purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they have the lying scale and like I forget what the other scale is.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're called. I just know I've taken them.
I've taken them many times. Not for fun, for clergy stuff and for the show.
Speaking of narcissism, this is a little off topic, but Tom Sandoval took a narcissism exam on like one of those like talk shows, Dr. Drew's show, I think, and he actually passed. Like they're like, oh, you're not a diagnosed narcissist based on the Dr. Drew gave him this narcissism exam. Interesting, because he's totally a narcissist.
No, he's completely. But you know what? Can I just rant about the word narcissist for a minute?
It's just being thrown around
because everybody throws it around, and you can be narcissistic without being a narcissist,
an actual narcissist,
right?
Yeah.
And everybody is just saying, "Oh, he's a narcissist." No, sometimes he's just an asshole, Nancy. Your husband was just an asshole. He's a selfish asshole. That doesn't make him a clinical narcissist. And the way that it gets thrown around dilutes its actual
like narcissistic personality disorder is a very specific personality disorder with specific things.
Yes.
Whereas like people are just like, oh, someone's selfish, they must be a narcissist. And you're like,
right.
well,
oh, he was he's such a narcissist. Oh, because he liked to go to the bar instead of coming home to you, and he met some chick that he fell in love with.
He's just a cheater.
He's a selfish asshole.
Right.
Like, that's not the same thing as being a narcissist.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
You know, and again, you can be narcissistic. We all are to an extent, right?
Yeah. That's survival.
But without being a clinical narcissist. So when people say they're a narcissist, they're implying, even though they don't realize that they're implying it, I think, that it's a clinical thing. And now that it's been out there, it's just this like small n narcissist versus capital N narcissist. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I will say though, having worked with narcissists, like actual clinically
ones.
Yeah, like probably like not diagnosed, of course, but like definitely has the symptoms of having the personality disorder. Like, it is a very different thing than someone who's just like full of themselves. Like, it's a very different experience.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what I understand anyway.
Yeah.
And everybody is so quick these days to be like, oh, they're a narcissist. They're a narcissist. And well, I think that they are perfectly valid in their feelings about this. They're not realizing that by saying, oh, they're a narcissist, they're actually saying, they're referring to the clinical diagnosis. So they're more like small n narcissist. So I feel like there needs to be like a different definition so that you're not confusing them when you're talking about just somebody who's like a mega asshole. Anyway, but I digress.
I think Lexi is falling asleep.
Yeah, go look up soaking. It's after 11. We all gotta go to bed.
Good night, ladies.
Yes, this has been fun. Thanks for listening.
Yes, good night.